Hi, boys and girls. I would like to read you one of my favorite Easter stories, and it's called Rechenka's Eggs, and it's written by Patricia Polacco. She's one of my favorite authors. In this story, Patricia calls her grandmother Babushka. So when you hear the name Babushka, you will know that she's talking about her grandmother. Babushka lived alone in a dosha, a little house in the country. But she was known far and wide for the fine eggs that she lovingly painted. Her eggs were so beautiful that she always won first prize at the Easter festival in Moskva. So she would paint her eggs and she would take them to a market at Easter time, and people would buy them to decorate their homes. Can you see how carefully she's painting those? Each day, Babushka would take the shell of an egg from her basket and paint it in wonderful designs using the shapes of stars and flowers, triangles and circles. Through the long, cold winter, Babushka painted. Then one day, after a snowstorm, Babushka went outside. She could still hear the faint sound of the falling snow. It was a sound like soft rain. Herds of caribou came to feed at Babushka's because the grasses they usually ate were covered in snow. "A miracle," she whispered as she fed some. "3 wild things have found their way to me." Just then, a flock of noisy geese honked loudly overhead. As they glided over the snow, one of them faltered and fell from the sky. Babushka went to where the goose lay crumpled in the snow. "A hunter did this," Babushka grumbled. You can see that the goose had been shot in the wing. She carefully picked up the goose and took it back to her little house. Then she fed the little goose from her own table and put the goose in her best basket, lined with the warmest quilt from her own bed. "I shall name you a good name, one that we both can like. Eh, my little friend?" she said as she patted the goose's head. "How do you like Rechenka?" "Yes, then Rechenka it shall be." With Babushka's care, Rechenka grew stronger as each day passed. To pay her kindness, Rechenka laid an egg for breakfast every morning. As Rechenka got better, she waddled around the little house, exploring every nook, cupboard, and corner. One day, she jumped on top of Babushka's work table, overturning the jars of bright colored paint that she used to color her eggs. "Neat!" Babushka screamed as she chased the goose with a broom. "No!" The frightened goose flapped her wings to get away and knocked over the basket of eggs that Babushka had so lovingly painted. Can you see what's happening to those eggs? The eggs crashed onto the floor and shattered into millions of pieces. They were both very sad. There was no reason now for Babushka to go to the festival. She didn't have any eggs left to sell. The next morning, Babushka slowly got out of bed and trundled over to Rechenka's basket to get her morning egg. But when she got there, she reached into the middle of the quilt and picked out the most brilliantly colored egg that she had ever seen. "A miracle," Babushka whispered. "A miracle." So that night, Rechenka had laid a beautifully painted egg for Babushka. She made small holes at both ends of the egg and blew the yolk and white into a dish to cook in the morning, and marveled at the beauty of the egg. After that, every morning for 12 mornings, there was another egg, each more beautiful than the one laid the day before. Soon Babushka had enough eggs to take to the festival in Moscow. How wonderful, she thought. A miracle has replaced the eggs that were broken. "Spring is here, my little friend," Babushka said to Rechenka the morning of the festival. "Soon now you will be flying off to the north with your flock." She bustled to the hearth fire and brewed some of her most favored tea. The two shared a saucer of tea with kulish, a sweet Easter bread. She covered each piece with poshka, a spread of cheese, butter, and raisins. They savored each bite together. "One for you, one for me," Babushka chanted. "Da-da-da-da, my little friend. I shall sorely miss you, but you are a wild thing, and a miracle sent you to me. It would not be right to ask you to stay here with me forever." When Babushka left her little house, she took one last look at Rechenka sitting on the doorstep. She waved, then took her determined steps for Moscow with the basket of her precious eggs. She crossed Lebetov Valley, where the caribou mothers were walking their newborn calves. A miracle, she thought. New little lives. A miracle. She crossed the bridge over the Moskva River, and soon she could see the onion domes of old Moskva. Can you tell why they call those onion domes? Do they kind of look like onions? They're not really onions, they're just shaped like onions. The festival was bright and exciting. There were goat carts selling kulish, processions, dancers, jugglers, and laughing children playing and running. Babushka showed her old friends the eggs. Her eggs are the most beautiful in all of Russia, her friends thought. "Look at them," the elders said. "They almost glow as if the paint is part of the shell itself." The judges picked Babushka's eggs as the most beautiful. Babushka was so happy. She beamed as she looked at the first prize, a feather bed quilt. As Babushka made her way homeward, a honking flock of geese flew overhead. Babushka gave them a long, lingering look. She wondered if Rechenka was one of them. But that night, Babushka was awakened from a sound sleep by an ever so small sound. It was coming from Rechenka's basket. She hobbled closer and saw a glorious egg. But this one was different from all the others. It quivered and moved. It made tiny muffled sounds. The egg jumped, bumped, rolled, and pitched in the basket. Do you see what's inside? Then there was a crack, and Babushka could see the very special gift that Rechenka had left for her. All a miracle, Babushka said, and this little goose remained with Babushka always. Well, did you see how Babushka blew the yolk out of that egg so that she could save the shell? Let's find the page. She said that she poked a hole in each end of the egg and then blew the yolk out. Well, boys and girls, I love to do that at Easter time. I love to blow the yolk out of the eggs, but I blow the yolk out while the egg is still white, just right out of the refrigerator. And so I would like to show you an egg that I made today. I blew the yolk out of the egg, and then I just used some markers to color mine, and then I put a little bit of sparkle on there. It's just a little bit of spray that has sparkle in it that made it all glittery. Do you think that my egg looks like one of Babushka's? Mine's probably not quite as fancy, but I sure like it. If you would like to learn how to blow the yolk out of eggs and paint them like Babushka did, you can watch my next video, and maybe Mom or Dad will help you do that. I hope you have a wonderful Easter. See you soon.